Hey, this is Cam with Blacktail Studio, and this week I build one of my most expensive tables ever, and for once, everything actually goes to plan. Until the client changes his mind about what exactly he's looking for halfway through the build.
Hi YouTube! Apparently my old coffee table isn't working anymore, so how about we learn how to build a new one? Or how to build a river epoxy coffee table. I started very well, with a bummer. I had a small offcut slab of ash in my garage. I thought it was a good material for learning how to process and prepare boards, so I did. Only later did I realize that this interesting form would make a very nice river table, so I glued it back together. But since this piece was quite narrow, I milled a few more ash boards to widen the countertop and use the rest for legs. It was starting to look good. The next step was to square sides of the slab, which I did with a Festool ROTEX RO. A little glue here, a little glue there, and you can throw it to the clamps. I used pipe clamps for this part. They are very good because they are cheap. Bonus is that we are not limited by the length of the clamp and we can buy long pipes. Unfortunately, there are also some minor disadvantages. They keep knocking over when you try to place boards on them. I glued the second part using APPAREL clamps. They are worse because they are expensive, but at the same time they are better. Don't ask, it's something like quantum mechanics. I didn't put much effort into glue up, so I had to plan it. My thicknesser is a DeWalt DW733, a small, compact and good machine. It's great for small and medium-sized projects. Now I'm starting to fill in the gaps like dentists from the National Health Fund. I use black Burma wax. It's brilliant because it takes 15 minutes to harden and you can sand it right away. The final effect is like resin, but you don't have to stop working. I protected the edges with a thin layer of resin. This should minimize air bubbles and the bond should be more solid. A little fire and it is ready. Now it's time to make the mold. I use melamine board. I check how my elements fit on the format, mark the cutting lines, and yeah, I cut them. I will use those offcuts as sides to the form. For the trained eye, another noob moment. I forgot to change the depth of the blade and slid it across the MFT table. The first bubble scar. I assembled the sides together, cut them to the appropriate length and hooked them up. Pop and bread nail. Pop and pop. I pump silicone around edges. It will not only stick the sides to the countertop, but also seal it. In many videos, the mold is sprayed with something called mold release, an agent that prevents the resin from sticking to the plate. I didn't have such an invention, so I wrapped the whole thing inside with ordinary packing tape. Silicone also goes to the bottom of the boards and into all the holes where the resin might want to make an alliance with gravity. Well, it's only been 5 minutes and everything is ready for pouring. I'm killing it. I leveled the mold and sanded the edges. It was time to mix. Four liters of epoxy deep pouring resin and pearl pigment. I used black and a light touch of gold. Nothing works so good as touch of gold. I started pouring the resin and oops, I forgot to put a silicone barrier on the top so as not to spill it over. Then fire again. I don't know if I've told you this before, but I have no idea what I'm doing. I didn't know that the resin shrinks quite a lot when drying, so the whole thing was concave about 2 mm below the countertop. I still had some resin, the one I poured was still quite soft, so I filled the gap. The entire operation would not be necessary if I had a big planer somewhere nearby. I don't have, but I have a sander and I prefer to sand the resin rather than the countertop. Sanding resin was quite difficult. It heats up, becomes soft, clogs up, and generally every 5 minutes you pause, blow through the sanding paper and move on. I had white powder everywhere in the garage. Not this white powder. Rotex did the job relatively painlessly. Remember about mask and protective equipment. Many people complain about how much they dislike sanding. I thought so too, until I had to clean my countertop of silicone remainings. It doesn't want to come off, it's hard to be sanded, only tedious scraping remains. If you are still here, it may mean that you like something in this video. I would be extremely pleased if you subscribe to my channel. It would motivate me to create more videos like this, and YouTube will see that there is an interest and hopefully it will push the positioning a bit. Thank you in advance. Now was the time to square the top up, and with an edge router I made a small radius from the bottom. The indentation was not intentional, another noob moment. I sanded the whole thing with all grades from 120 to 320. A bit too much for oil finish, but I wanted to have a very smooth surface, especially the resin. I degreased the countertop with isopropyl alcohol, and for finishing I chose Osmo Terra Transparent Hardwax oil. Interesting color. I wanted an effect of black epoxy combined with dark wood such as American walnut. I encourage you to watch Blacktail Studio to see this effect. It's beautiful. I don't currently have walnut in my huge warehouse, but I do have oil. Now, the front. Sanding an edge at 45 degrees. The tabletop is done, so I'm starting to work on legs, because without the legs it's just an oversized cutting board. The idea for the legs was two trapezoidal frames. In order not to do math, a video from the Jesper Makes channel came to the rescue. I set the table saw blade to 82 degrees and cut all the boards this way. the moment of connecting the frame. Attention, attention! I use a tool that constantly arouses love on YouTube, a Festool domino. I could tell you that you can do it with dowels or other biscuits, but if you are an amateur like me, you probably can't. I tried all these options and always messed something up. The domino is amateur friendly and incredibly precise. For me, salvation. I sand the insides before gluing to make it easier to work later. I put them in clamps and I guess it turned out well. Final sanding and waxing. Insides of the legs will be the same color as the top and outside surfaces will be black. I use black stain and clear Osmo for that. I drill and screw threaded inserts, making the holes in the legs slightly bigger so that the wood can work seasonally. And now, the reveal. Please let me know in the comments what do you think. Hot or not? What do you think it looks like for the first project of this type? What did I learn from this project? Firstly, to act more calmly. Many of these minor mistakes could have been avoided if I have spent more time planning my work. Secondly, I learned how to work with resin. Of course, I still have a long way to go, but I'm very glad this project wasn't a total failure. And now, a project difficulty rating. I think that any of the amateur could handle such a project. It can be done with only a saw and a sander. It would take more time certainly, but it's doable. Keep up!